Dad. Oh. That is not good. Come here.
Yeah.
You need to wipe your hands off, old goat.
Yeah.
Thanks. Thank you, big guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, 1 second. Come here. Come here, buddy. Come here. Let me see that hand.
Mm-hmm.
Look at you. You're all dirty. There we go. You all right?
Yeah.
Good. Here, let me see this hand. Oh, you're good. Okay, come over here, big guy. Come over here. Stand here. There we go. You all right?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Careful. All right, there we go. Work down here. Yeah, sit. There you go. Good man. Got it? Oh, yeah, baby. You got it, baby. You got it. You got it. I'm going to try to articulate what I'm doing even if nobody is watching for my own practice and to keep me focused and to keep this guy entertained. And also to prevent me from falling asleep. For I am pretty tired. Stepping back, what do we see? First thing we do the day. Right when we start, we look at proportions, try to figure out what's wrong with our fresh eye, and I'm seeing quite a few things right now. I'm going by essentially the gesture, not just the overall gesture, but the gesture within the body parts. The anatomy, specifically in the upper thighs, that is incorrect. Also, everything seems a little bit generalized. I lost a lot of the drawing as I was going through yesterday and adding the charcoal down. I try to fix these things as I go along with refining the drawing and pulling it together, keying it up, is bringing the light and dark values together, organizing them properly, and organizing a mental plan on what exactly I need to do at this stage. Proportion's always key. Trying to see the big shape is incredibly important. It's still at a very workable stage, excluding some of the areas that are pretty dark. There's the possibility that I made her right shin a little bit too long. If I plumb line, I'm going to plumb line over from the ankle all the way to the other heel, and this part, the ankle should be up some, so that's where the ankle should be to the heel, about right here. So it's just going to raise just a bit. So this foot just raises up just a little bit, which is what I'm going to do. And this is why we keep it very basic, very simple. I'm using a bead charcoal. And I'm going to fix these things right now while I can see it. There we go. Just move all these marks up ever so slightly. This is what we are doing. Up, 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 up. Minor changes go a long way in this type of work. Minor changes. And what we're going to do, we also have to shift this piece up a little bit, which is the ankle. And I need to do a better job of, essentially, that is not a good job of what I did. I need to do a better job of getting the subtle angles, blocked in better. We're also going to bring this ankle up, bring it up just a little bit there. The rest of it has to do with the light. Let's bring the light up some. Bring this point up some. There we go. Shift this up, which probably needs to go up a little bit more. I'm trying to remember all the anatomy and such as I go through and make these marks. Paper is coming up, so I'm essentially articulating my thoughts right now. These are all the thoughts that I have during the drawing process. So I'm just going to check the stream, making sure it's smooth, which it seems like it is. Take these little pieces of tape up to re-stretch, which I've been doing every day. It really helps to actually get different pieces of tape. Y'all can't see this, but I'm doing this because the paper bubbles up every once in a while, and I don't mind it doing that because once a day I can re-stretch it onto the board, and that way it remains nice and tight, easy to draw. We can make those masterful lines we so love. And now comes the part where I am looking for my tape, which is always lost, even though it's supposed to be hung there. So I'm going to go on a walk here. I lucked out, frankly, found it immediately. Coming back. Right, tape. Boom. Small pieces. Small pieces. Doesn't need to be large. Let's take this piece off too, right here. This one's fine. Stretch this down just a little bit. There we go. Stretch this piece down. I'm pulling the drawing at the same time, making sure it's flush, flat. And here we have it. And another piece right in the center, which I know y'all can't see me doing, but that is why I'm articulating this. Charcoal, be charcoal, soft. We're back, stepping back, see what we've done. Leg is looking a little bit better. Not quite there, and I think it has to do partially too with the anatomy of this piece, which is going to have to fill out a little bit, but instead of just blindly filling it out, I'm going to look, really try to understand that anatomy based off the shadow shapes that I have within the form, within the knee. This part comes in some. This is dropping down just a little bit. Yeah. There we go. And just squint down. And it always looks different from close up than it does from further back. And even just that, from my eye, I can see a little bit of a difference. I'm trying to get this distance a little bit closer together because it is a little bit too long. And it's something I kind of saw yesterday a little bit, but I didn't want to make that change until I had more of a fresh eye because I was working on it for like several hours without taking a break, which is stupid. Don't do that. I do it just because I stream. That's what we do, you know. I stream and I want to make it smooth and entertaining. And for most part, too, it is, I guess, relatively good practice. At this point, I'm just like making it up. It's not even correct, so I'm just going to bring this in just a little bit more. Take that edge off. Something like that. It's looking better, but the foot I still think needs to rise up just a little. It might just actually be this piece right here, which instead of going in, it just curves a little bit more than I have it. A lot of these changes that I'm making, it's hard to see from back there, the camera angle, but these are very necessary changes that I'm making. Remember this? It's coming this way, and it comes up. There we go. Keeping it light. Everything is light. I'm trying not to do too dark because I'm still moving a lot of things around. If I do it too dark, it's going to lock it into place. So even now at this point, I made a pretty big change that frankly should have been done quite some time ago. But I'm still able to do it, which is good. All right, now I'm going to go and work the anatomy in here just a little bit more. Add the bone inside of the foot, going down into the big toe right there. This comes here, this is here, and then this part comes up just a little bit right there. So go back, get some more information. Staring. Right, this part comes up, and this part comes in just a little bit. 1, 2, rounds. That's close, but this angle is incorrect. It's going more like that. So I'm going to bring that up a little bit and make sure when I bring it up, I'm not making the foot too thin. So these minor changes seem like nitpicking, but this is how we get it incredibly accurate. Right, so this is how we get it accurate. So now we're coming in. And I'm just going to gently wisp the charcoal up. All right, charcoal. That's what we're working with here. It's worth taking our time with the feet. There's nothing like good feet on a figure. Nothing like good feet on a figure, a standing figure. And I think it's getting closer, but it's not quite there yet. I still feel like this needs to fill out some up top. I think I got the angle wrong, and it might be because I'm drawing kind of at an odd angle myself. I'm just going to bring this foot up, make it a little bit thicker, and change this angle going up a little bit. This piece will come up just a slight bit. I'm essentially moving it a line width up every time. I'm going to step back, and let's use the eraser. So I'm drawing just as much with the eraser as I am essentially with the charcoal right here. It's a great way to study anatomy, the subtle anatomy, and to hone your skill in getting subtlety, right, is working with the eraser, which is quite nice. Stepping back, always at a distance, making sure that foot isn't looking too big, which frankly it does a little bit. I think possibly this comes up just a little bit here. This comes in some there, so I'm going to bring it up just a little. That makes sense because I did have to change that angle. That I might have messed up just now. Let me step back, see how it looks. Old man, I need to give you food in a second. Comes in, this part comes in. Slowly bring it up just a little bit. I'm going to bring this down just some because I think it needed to get thicker, not so thin. This part comes in, it's there. All right, so that's looking a little bit better, and it's looking better. It has some form to it. It's still not not totally correct, but that it is definitely looking a little bit more proportionate because it was too thick before. Car wash stream win. Whenever, man. We can do it whenever, Coquette. Hey, fun games last night, even though we got our asses kicked. Hey, thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah. Yeah, Mom really liked your work, and we're sending it out to... She has a lot of friends. I mean, that's the exact type of stuff she likes. And especially, I don't know what that... It's like a cardigan or something. You have to forgive me. I don't know women's clothes, but when I saw that on the side, I was like, Mom would love that. And she did. She scrolled down. She was like, $45? I was like, yeah. I was like, it's a nice pattern. She says, get it. I said, all right. Nice, yeah. Good. And Mom said, she's like, oh, I love crochet. And here's the thing. So I think, stop me if I told you this, but it's like people buy the artist. They don't know, it's not always the work, right? They like stories behind things. So even though a lot of people do crochet, and sometimes it's mass produced and it brings the value down, what have you, you are essentially an artist, right? Let me make sure. You're an artist with this stuff, and people will buy that, right? They like they like names to things, right? It's like Armani, it's like Versace, all those. They're names. It's not the clothes. The clothes are pretty good, some of them, but it's not that they're better than a lot of other stuff. You know what I'm saying. So anyway, it's just I really don't want to get another bee out. This is lazy of me. Oh, but yeah, I had fun playing last night. That was good. I needed it. I didn't get enough sleep though. The crochet forum on Reddit is full of the ugliest crochet in the world. Oh, I don't doubt it. There's always going to be the ugly, right? There's always going to be that type of ugly. But yours wasn't ugly. I was actually very impressed with it. And even though I'm not into crochet like that, I don't know about it. I can tell what's ugly and what's not, and I like that. It looked really cool. Everything did, and in fact, one of the nicknames we call Mom is Lamb, we call her Lamb, and grandkids call her Lamma. She acts like a lamb sometimes. And those lambs would be good. And so I'm going to show my sister, and I bet you she'll, I don't know, she might buy some, because those are really cool lambs. So it's good stuff. Whoops. Sure this doesn't knock into the stream and me get, there's the naked picture right there of what I'm drawing that is uncensored. So that would be a mess. And yeah, Coquette, I came in here, and like I said yesterday, it was a very busy day, very busy. But it was one of those days that's busy all the way up until the very end. And I was just apparently more tired than I thought I was. And so I came in here today, I actually took a nap on the couch, that's the first time I did that. And I don't know when the last time I did that was. Just one of those days. Okay, that's looking a little bit better. I'm trying to get the subtlety of the legs. I'm also just articulating. Whenever we're not talking about something, I'll just start articulating this. Just to get better at talking about it and such, which I am getting better at it, but it keeps me in practice. Always looking at the large shapes at the same time as I'm detailing, quote unquote, detailing and refining. What I'm doing is fixing the shapes in subtle ways. Like this one right here, I brought up some, but also tried to get the right lightness, which is the value, and the right shadow edge, how thick or thin it is, or sharp or soft rather. I want to keep playing too, but my husband gets up at like 5 a.m. for work, yeah. No, you're smart. I'm actually glad you did, because I couldn't have stayed up. It was one of those, when you work very hard all day long and you kind of make a late day. And so then what you want to do is make up for it, right? At the end of the day by staying up a little bit later, but then that kind of screws you for the next day, because not only were you more tired going into your break at night, right? You needed more sleep and you didn't get it. So you're even worse the next day. And so I'm glad you did that, because I got a lot of sleep for me, but apparently it was not enough. And I am, like, if you didn't do that, I would be screwed right now. So that's actually a good thing you had to go. Shaping the ankle out, thinking about the anatomy, not just shaping it blindly like an idiot. We're going to squint down, and as I am working the eraser in, as I'm taking this up with the eraser, I'm also working it in with the eraser, making it actually more smooth. So this drawing is going to be highly refined, and it's going to have a stronger sense of light to it in no time. Instead of staying down low, I'm going to shoot all the way back up to the top and start working probably on the rib cage in a second, which I haven't worked on that much. This isn't a commission, but this is something that, like, Tag In, he was doing a drawing, tone paper. Tag In is essentially, he's in just graduated high school, and over in Kosovo, but his mind's in this type of work, and he was doing a tone paper charcoal drawing, which I haven't done since I was like at the school, like 20 years ago. So I said it's about time. So this is what I wanted to do, and also it'll make a nice video. I'll turn it into a video and such, but but it's also, in addition to that, it's excellent practice for me. My commissions that I have coming up, I have 3 portrait commissions coming up, and this will definitely help me with that as well. So what I looked at when I just glanced at this here is there's this kind of shape here. It's almost like, it's not a star, but it kind of comes up a little bit more. So I'm going to squint down, try to remember what I saw there. And that's the beauty of working further back, is that increases your visual memory, and that you obtain the memory from back here. You have to, or you rather get the memory from back here, you observe it from back here, and then you have to retain what you saw from back there, put it up here. It's a little bit difficult, and you have to do it correctly as well. Correctly. You got to do it correctly. Comes up some. This So I'm just gonna, and this is all with B. Normally at this point, because there's three types of charcoal. There's B, which is the softest, then HB, which is the next. It's a little bit harder, and then there's H, which is the hardest. And normally people are going to the HB about right now, which there's nothing wrong with that. That's a good thing to do. Tagging, what's up, buddy? They're just talking about this and saying that you're one of the reasons why I decided to do this, because I remember you talking about it, some time ago, and now we're going to. Hey, thanks, man. So it's a little bit generalized right now, and I'm kind of going through, breaking it down. And we're going to get, I have to work this in. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to start darkening and lightening at the same time. And this is how I work in the charcoal without using a brush, which you can use a brush. I'm not against the brush. But let's start doing that right now. I'm going to start darkening this a little bit, and then I'm going to go in and lighten it back up. And it's going to be pressing the charcoal in at the same time. So that's how we work this. So it'll be fluctuating a little bit. And I put it into this knife edge right here that you can see. And after a while, it kind of gets a little bit of charcoal on it. So I am using it as a brush, but it gets a really nice effect. It's a little bit different than a brush. Sometimes the brush, it makes it look a little bit too generalized, and it takes away a tooth, a natural tooth that the paper has that can be kind of beneficial later on. Is this freshness, whereas the brush sometimes takes away that fresh look, right? But it really also depends on how you work it in. I can see the Florence Academy's similarities. What you mean with this, and you can see the influence behind it. You can really see people who studied there in their drawings. I always thought that we had better solidity to our work than a lot of other schools had. They were a little bit more general, and it seemed. Cesar Santos is an exception to that. I love his work, and I'm very surprised, pleasantly surprised by seeing his work. I don't know what I should do. I tell you what, it might actually be worth going to an H right now and doing a combination of B and H. So I'm going to get an H. Let me see if I have an H charcoal. Actually do. This is an H. Problem is I have a lot of charcoal here, but I don't know what it is. Oh, let's see what this is. I don't know what this is, but this is kind of nice because it's pushing the charcoal, and I'm going to assume this is an H. Let's see. I'll be able to tell. Yeah, this feels like an H. Sharpen this. Yeah, this is an H. This has to be an H. Okay, I think. So I'm going to use this. I'm assuming this is an H. It doesn't have a tag on it. Right, and the advantage, it's kind of like in painting where I say keep it soft and then you can cut into it and make the sharps. It's like at the end of the day, when you're painting, you can go through with your thumb and kind of like blur the sharp edges, or do it with a brush if you don't want to poison yourself. And you can get that, kind of a nice atmospheric effect. And then you just go back into it the next day, cut out, and you can kind of accentuate where you want it to pop out. So that's a really good technique. So this is now I'm going in with an H right now, because this area, I have a pretty good idea of where I want the values to be. It feels good actually working with the H. So I'm going to wear the paper down just a little bit, but I'm also pushing the B charcoal into it. So it's not like I'm forming the values only with the H. There's B charcoal on here, and you have to think about charcoal like you do paint, where you can move the paint around. You can move charcoal around as well. So this is how I'm working right here. And I'm working around the center of the body right now, but I also can't let this fall behind up top. So I'm going to work this in just a little bit, but then I'm also going to go up top and try to start working some of that in to catch it up with everything else. So that is the plan as of right now. So here we go. So we're just working this in, working the paper, working the paper. Let's work the paper down here some. And I'm less concerned about laying charcoal down as I am just pushing the old charcoal down into the grooves more, so it takes away the splotchy look. And I'm also, like I said, trying to take some of the tooth out of the paper. Take some of the tooth out of the paper, and then I'm going to go back into it with some bee charcoal as well. Is more tight. And the GCA, what's the GCA? And their background doesn't really connect with the figure. I think that is because they focus only on form and piecemeal things. Is it? Okay. Because I'm not too familiar. So I'm going to go back up. This is, let's work up top with this. This, again, I'm working with an H at this point. And I'm trying to go for the tip that is sharp, right? The sharp tip. And my goal right now is twofold, is to, well, a couple. To correct the proportions and refine it to the point with, by pushing the charcoal in with the H charcoal. So, and I'm also I'm thinking about correcting the proportions, getting the anatomy correct in tandem with the large proportions, and keying up everything properly, which I don't have it as light as I can go, and this is about as dark as I can go, but I lost some of it in working with the H, and some of it falls off as you paint or draw as well. It just does. Let's work up here just a little bit because I have not spent as much time up here. I'm going to try to refine this. Yesterday I moved this hand down just a little bit, and going over it with the H will make it a little bit more difficult to move, but I'm pretty certain that this is in the right place. And so again, the first thing that I did today was I just stepped back and I looked with my fresh eye and tried to discern what, if anything, was off. And of course, everything was perfect. I never have to change anything. It's just how I am. Because I'm a genius mastermind painter. Except, this needs to come over some. This shape is, in fact, incorrect. Comes over that way. Probably drops down just a little bit too. It's a little bit better. And let's bring this part over just a little bit. So maybe something like this. That's looking better to me. All these little subtleties are actually very important, very extremely important. I'm going to sharpen my B, and I'm going to go and kind of work that wrist a little bit more. This is going to be our model for tonight as well in the class that I have, which is quite nice. She is a very good model. There we go. Forearms, thinking about the anatomy. There we go. Stepping back. Looking at a distance. Overall effect. Always look at the overall effect and then go up and try to understand what you're looking at. So you'll get both of those things in the work. Right? That's what we do. That's what we do. And then the values come along with that, right? So now I have a B charcoal. This is, I'm going in with H right here. And I'm just going to softly work this area up right now. I'm just pushing the charcoal into the paper right now. That's all that I need to do. Every once in a while, squint down, open my eyes. Just working vertically. I'm going horizontally at this point, kind of at an angle actually, diagonally. Just work this in. And then we need to step back and see the whole thing all at once. And this is how we keep it fluid. We keep it fluid. You also have to understand how much you can lighten, how much you can darken, right? So I'm not too concerned of this getting too dark because I know that I work the charcoal in and then I can bring the light up to the right level, right? So I'm not too concerned. Oftentimes I'll get dark and then I'll get light and I'll just ping pong back and forth within within reason, right? You don't want to make it totally black. You don't want to do that. All right, so when I'm drawing too, just because I'm not working, say, on the line as I'm shading, I'm thinking about the line and the form. So the idea is to have a holistic understanding of the drawing, the anatomy, and just keep all these things in mind. This is key right here. So I'm going in with the left hand, and it's not that, I encourage people to try to use their left hand, and it does get easier. I can't use my left as well as I can use my right, but with erasers just going slowly and stuff, it's easier to erase with the left hand than it is to draw in charcoal with the left hand. And it just makes it so you're not switching materials back and forth all the time, right? So you can kind of keep charcoal in one hand while you erase with the other, it just makes it more fluid. That's why I do it. All right. And I'm going across the form. This is flowing with the form right here. And you can do a combination of both. But what you want to do if you want smooth technique, you don't want to do this, like go down like that. You want to do fluid marks with a sharp edge. And it's going to be more even, and you're going to get the form quicker because you're not having to fight your own technique. Your technique is propelling you forward, which is quite nice. So all these things, it's a lot to keep in mind. Juggling all these things is very difficult, but that's why we practice, and figure drawing is the best way of doing it, especially having a live model. It's the advantage of having a photograph, obviously, is they don't move. You can do it whenever you want. Having a model that moves teaches you how to flow with the model, and it also teaches you to look for certain poses. It teaches you aesthetics, right? Which is very important to do. So I'm switching back and forth between doing circular motions and actual broad sweeps going with the form. At the very end of it, if I really want to, once the paper's worn down, you can kind of get a nice mark over it so it looks, you can put that technique over it, right? Make it look like a line or what have you. But right now, I'm trying to work the paper, break it in without scarring the paper in a very bad way. I'm trying not to wear the paper down. I'm just trying to break it in. So that's why I'm not pressing very hard at first. That's why I'm taking my time and going over it very fine. So it's just slowly over time wearing the charcoal into the paper. And this is a very important technique to know how to do. All of this stuff I can lighten or darken within reason pretty quickly, right? All of this I can lighten or darken. I can lighten the whole thing if I want. I can darken the whole thing if I want. There we go. And if I need to get within the grooves and stuff, I can kind of do one of these things where it's going into the grooves. But for the most part right now, that's not necessary. That kind of comes at the very end. So every mark you put down, you want to see the whole shape all at once. So for example, if I'm doing this piece right here, I'm not making it too dark. I'm looking at this whole thing and trying to say, okay, this is very similar to something in here. So I'm not going to make this as dark as this, for example, down here. So let's flow with the form here, and then we can kind of come across the form if we so wish right here. And we're going up. Think of it kind of like a cylinder, right? With wires coming up. So you can kind of go in different directions, but it's quite nice. I like making transitions by doing a combination of going with the form and then flowing kind of in a circle up it, like that, going across it. It makes it look really cool, actually. So here we go. Sometimes you have to stop and think what direction is going to work for it. This is kind of my default thus far has been kind of diagonal, which there's nothing wrong with doing that right here, especially right at this point. You want to have variation in your work. So I'm actually lightly going over this. This is very light. Notice I've been working all around. So this is how we do it. And let's go back up to the neck, and the chin, and all this stuff, and start catching parts of the face up with everything else. All right. slowly catching everything up. And all this is still very erasable, even though I'm going in with the H charcoal. There we go. Squinting down, you can see my eyes, hopefully, yeah. Top of my head is cut off, but whatever. You can see what I'm doing, circular motions here and there. And then let's clean this up some. This is a little bit messy in here. This is definitely an H, I can tell. This piece of charcoal. Slow with the form. There. All right. Squint down, look at the overall shape, and lightly go over this area right here. Very lightly. Very lightly. There you go. We'll start cutting out very subtle shapes within those shapes and sometimes putting little accents on them, and that's going to give it solidity and make it stand out, make it pop, and that's what we're going to want. But to do that, we need to be absolutely 100% on the actual proportions. That's how this stuff works, right? The problem a lot of people make is that they first start drawing and then they start with these dark lines, these accent lines and such, and that's fine in gesture drawing, that's fine in certain types of drawing, but if you really want to get as precise as you can, especially if you're a beginner, you're going to have to start light so that you're able to correct your work. You're not just going to automatically get it. People try to make it look like it right from the start, and that's a mistake, because then they run into problems down the road from it. You can't correct anything, so it can be a real issue. Now, I'm going to switch to the B charcoal, and I'm going to actually start hatching out the ear just a little bit, because this is not well done, frankly. I need to refine it just a little bit more, refine the line edge, and actually think about what I'm doing with it. So I moved the ear up slightly, which it did need to go up some. Let's see, what else does it need to do? That. Oh, I see what I've done. This is kind of weird. So this part actually comes up a little bit here. And then we have this piece, which is actually over here, I think. And then we have the earlobe, which is this one. That. Take that out. There we go. And I'm not going to try to detail this as much as I am. Just get the big broad shape when I'm squinting and looking at it. Big broad shape, right? That's what we got to do. Get the big broad shape. This piece in, and I can always fix it. But now it's getting to the point. It's quite nice where it's fun to work. You know, everything's. I'm feeling the paper broken into the point where I can be a little bit more subtle. It's not like drawing on sandpaper as much, which is how it is with Roma paper. And obviously the reason for that, is it holds the charcoal better. And charcoal, even with Roma paper, will fall off very easily. But it's able to hold it in the grooves better and such, and so that's why it's very it's rough. That's the reason behind it. So anyway, just fixing this ear, and it's very subtle changes that need to be made, but this is the type of stuff that makes you a better draftsman. They say the best draftsmen are the ones who can do the joints, like wrists, fingers, and all that stuff the best. So if you want to judge a drawing, look at the wrists, look at the joints, the hands, the feet. If they look like Gumby, if they look all puffy and stuff, it's probably, it's not that good of a sign. But if there's, the joints look like joints, that means the artist knows subtlety, because they're getting all those small, subtle angles in, locking them in accordance with the larger shapes. Everything's making sense. So that's what you want. So I'm going to bring this down some. So this is a B I'm working in, and so I'm just flipping back and forth between B and H. And H. That's the idea with it. So I'm going to actually darken this, and then I'm going to go over it with H again and work the charcoal in. And sometimes even when in very dark areas, you can use the H to knock some of the charcoal off. Right? You can do that as well. It's quite nice. So you have these fuzzy edges and such, but you can knock it down with the, let's see if this is going to do it. No, this is working it in, which is good. It's still what I want. This is with the H, going in with the H. And you just have to take your time with this, you know. This is not something you rush. So I do question if this is something that's good to stream. But you know what? I'm going to do it because everything doesn't need to be quick, and you know, I don't care. So I'm going in circular motions right now. I'm alternating between circular and you know, straight lines and stuff. The circular just gives a solid, right, a solid effect and fills in the grooves where otherwise I would miss. But it's important that when you do this type of work, you're looking at this entire shape as you're doing this, so you'll pick out more indiscrepancies as you go. And then if I want to lighten it, I obviously can go over it with my eraser a little bit, which is what I might do. This is trying to kind of understand what's happening with the breasts. And I need to be careful because I'm using actually the paper I'm using the white charcoal, the white chalk in that area, so the paper is going to be the midtone. So I can't, you know, I need to understand where the midtone is going to be, where I'm going to just leave the paper. I don't want the white chalk meeting the charcoal. You got to be careful with that. That's one of the things with this type of work. You know, if you want to paint, we start off in pencil, and we go to charcoal drawing on white paper from there, and then we go to tone paper. And the reason being is because it's a stepping stone up to painting. Because tone paper, you need to add your light, whereas the white paper, the light is the paper, so you just leave the paper. But with this, you're adding your light to it, which is what you do in paint. In paint, you have a whole range of values, and then you add color to that. You know, forget about it. It's a lot of stuff going on. So that's why we need kind of a stepping stone up to painting. That's the wise way of doing it. Now, can you start with painting? I'm sure you probably can. But, you know, why not do this? It takes, you know, everything takes discipline. And I think the most successful people at this craft, it's not necessarily the most talented. It's the people who are willing to work, and they're humble to the work, and they take the time to learn the teachings. You know, so many people I find, you know, when they're studying or whatever, they have beef with certain teachings. They don't like it because of how it makes them feel and all this stuff. And I'm talking about at, you know, these schools that actually, if you know, I would judge a school based off of the alumni work on average, not just like one or two people there or a teacher, but the alumni work. And a lot of these schools have very good work, and I hear people bitching and complaining about them. And I'm thinking to myself, you know, when you're a student, you don't know anything, so what makes you think you do, right? You know, a lot of people complain, and consequently, those were the people who didn't really make it that far, or perhaps in the work they're lacking something, whether it's technical or, you know, something else. But I always think it's very important to be humble to the teachings with this stuff, and frankly, to be grateful we have them. And not all teachings are like great. You know, I'm not saying that. Sometimes they're just like totally wrong, but again, that's kind of reflected in the alumni work, in my opinion. But when you're a student, I guess it is very difficult to see these things, right? It's hard to see, you know, what's wrong with work. You know, it takes time to develop develop a sense of what's good and what's bad in art, right? To train your eye to see things. It takes a lot of time to do that stuff. So I don't mean to be too harsh on students, but I just think, you know, we need to use our heads with this stuff. So going back down the knee, again, thinking of the overall form, the outside, the contour, and the planes on the inside, trying to tie all this together while keeping this whole shape in mind. A lot of it is memory, right? A lot of this I'm working off of memory of what I know, but I'm also going back and observing it. Right? You study this for so long and look at how dark something is, how light something is, and you get an idea. So, for example, I've looked at this leg a whole lot, and in my mind I've been keying it up the whole time to feed my dad something. So even when I go back and observe, if I go up and say to myself, wait a second, what was this value? Oftentimes I already have it in my mind because I remember looking at it several times. All right, big man. All right, goat. Hey, you want something to drink? Want a drink? Here, drink that. There you go, big guy. There you go. Good man. I'll feed him this in a second. Grand Central Atelier. Yep. Okay. Grand Central. Getting back to it. Go in with some B. I'm going to lay down the value where I think it needs to be around here. Step back, try to see the whole thing all at once. I'm going to come back in and slowly add in some B. Go over it slightly there to unify a little bit, and then go back and darken this. I'm thinking about the anatomy. I'm not just thinking about the value. I remember there was this piece coming across here and here, and this right here. It needs to be formed a little bit better than I have it. Step back, look. Look at the whole shape, flash my eyes back and forth in the entire thing, and what stands out and what doesn't stand out as much, right? What have I missed? So this is going to be probably a little bit dark, but I'll be able to bring it back down. All right, look at the whole shape, the entire shape. That's what we're doing. The entire shape. There we go. And then this comes over just a little bit, I think. And then I'm going to go over it with one slight value here. And I can always lighten it if I want, which I probably will end up lightening it some. Let's go in the opposite direction here. Up and down. This kind of needs opposite direction right here. And this is a B charcoal. Very light, very light. I can bring the value up if I want. I'll start carving shapes out of these shapes, very subtle shapes, but you don't want to over-exaggerate that. It's very tricky, that type of stuff. You got to be careful. Okay, then there's this piece right here that kind of comes this way. I'm going across the form this way. Squint. I squint, and I'm kind of blurring my eyes as I squint to unify this entire area right here. So I'm making sure that I'm not going to overdo it, and if I do, well, you know how to fix it. You can fix it that way, right? So you have this little fleck of light that comes in, which mine might be a little bit too high. This piece right here and that piece, and so I'm going to look at this and this at the same time, which this I think needs to shift down that way just a little bit. Yeah, just a slight bit, just a slight bit. This is kind of how we do it. Maybe like bring this piece over some down that way. There we go. That was pretty much okay. It was just too thick. Circular motion. Step back. Tagging, have you spoken to your client recently? We're going to go back here, add value, so I'm thinking of value, I'm thinking of form, all these things. And structure, right? Form and structure are pretty much the same thing, to me at least. Squint, step forward, let's darken this just a little bit here. Just a little, not too much. If I do too much, I can lighten it. Flowing with the form. Flowing, 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 and then let's go across it. And then we're going to go over all this stuff again, probably with an H. Try not to get in the way of this. There we go. Look at this. 2. Right. So it is getting relatively dark. All right. Going down. Let me bring this ankle up just a little bit. Bring this part up, something like that. We're working on anatomy. We're not just working and trying to copy it. Everything is a study, right? I'm trying to think about the anatomy, trying to understand it. I've said this 1,000 times, but it's so important. This is how my mind works with this stuff. Whoops. It's fine. And this swoops in more than I have it here. So it goes in quite a bit. And then it comes out, but not like that. Sharpen the B so I can get more of a point. I might have to get another B charcoal stick because this one's getting too short. Step back. Okay. I need to understand what is going on. So what is going on? First off, I cut off part of the ankle right there, but also this piece right here kind of comes like that. Squint down because I don't want to make it too bright. Something like that. Erase down to the value. You don't need to erase down to the paper. And then from here, I'm going to drop down here and hatch in the form, which I think comes here, and this kind of comes out more and kind of comes up behind the ankle, which comes forward some. Something like that. And I'm just going to do 2 straight lines. So I just kind of got a little bit more form, and that is still incorrect because this line right here needs to come this way, which should be about right here, and that part should be here. This is it, I think. Let me see. And then that ankle is coming. Yeah, this makes sense now. Okay, so this ankle is coming here. So really I'm like doing detailed work, but I'm doing detailed work because I'm trying to make sense of the anatomy that has to do with the big shape. So details naturally come when you're working the right way. Because the only way to push the drawing into the proper shape is to work on the subtle shape once your eye can see it. How are you doing?
No.
No? What does that mean? I'll give you a sandwich, big guy. No, you haven't spoken to him? It was all good, man. Is this pimento cheese? I'm Ron Burgundy. Here we go, Dad. Food? Want this? Sandwich. Eat. Eat, buddy. There you go. He's having trouble. You know, he's really tired today. It's a tired old goat. It's a tired goat. So I'm worried about, or rather looking at the large shapes right now. That's what we're looking at, the large shapes. Everything that has to do with, just the form. That's what we're going for. This right here, I'm going to actually accentuate her thigh a little bit because I've lost a little bit of the drawing when I put the charcoal down. So I'm going to bring the thigh out just a little bit more, give that gesture there, and then come down this way. This is why we need to understand angles. This is why it's very important to learn how to draw with straight lines. It forces you to see these angles. And, that's how you get the subtlety. It makes it so that you're not making things over-exaggerated, right? It has that subtlety to it. And then I'm going to do the same on that other side right there because I'm looking at the entire shape at once, not just one side. I'm looking at this, but I was looking at this piece here too, which this actually does, I think, on mine come out just a little bit more. Now the camera angle is slightly to the side, so this whole figure is going to seem like a smidgen too thin. It's just, and see, it might seem a little bit larger up top and the legs too short as well, because that I could have done better because the camera is actually hitting breast level. But anyway, there's a little bit of warp to it, but not so much. And this is going to come in. So I brought the thigh out just a little bit. Good? You like it? Good. Good man. And so I'm looking at that entire shape. And so now step back, and that seems a little bit better to me. And this is how we get the actual anatomy of her. And so what's happening with this is pretty cool, actually, because you have this bulge right here, and then the buttocks kind of fall behind the bulge just a little bit, but it's not a sharp fall. It's more of a smooth fall. So I'm going to go in with the H right here and just lightly go over this, squint down to make sure I'm not going to over-model this. And if I do, I'll just go over it with the eraser so it's not a big deal. So we're kind of, it's almost like we're generalizing it. This isn't really generalized, but it seems generalized compared to a drawing with structure until we can go through and start hatching out these basic shapes and such in it. All right. Speaking of which, let me get this light back in here because I lost this shape. And this is a basic shape that we need. We need this piece kind of coming in like that. I'm going to start working this back area too. Something like that. Just these subtle areas. You don't need to do so much detail, and you don't want to do all the detail right up front, because then it's just too much. You can't handle it. You can't correct all that at once. You correct big shapes. I had to move, for example, when we started, I had to move the foot up. If I had everything all detailed and stuff, that would be a pain, and I would have wasted all that time. That's why oftentimes I'll leave certain areas just for a little bit. This part, let's work this leg a little bit. I haven't really spent as much time as I should have on this leg. Let's go to the B. We're working with things. We're working with, like we're shifting things around. We're working more with soft charcoal that is erasable. That's what we want. You got to keep in mind too, the B, even though it's not as hard as the H, you can still wear the paper down, which is good. You working in the paper. That's why I use the B so much, is because it's very forgiving. You can erase it very easily, so it gives you more flexibility when you're working. But also you can still work in the paper, and you can still use it for quite a long time without going, like I normally skip past HB. Though, if you're a beginner, I definitely would encourage working with an HB. Just bring some of the light up some, just a little bit. Just a little bit, because that does lighten up, at least for the values that I have right here. Go over this, and then I'm going to go back over it and darken it again. This is how I work it into the piece, and I was actually making a mistake by rubbing my finger up against that. Don't do that. There we go. Step back. And so every time I'm working it back and forth, working it in it, but I'm also trying to learn, I'm studying the anatomy, so that's going to come out at the very end especially. So you can start Because a lot of this stuff is like, it's fun at the very end when you can start putting the accent marks on and all that stuff, because it's things that you see the entire time, but you're refraining, you're actively holding yourself back from doing it for obvious reasons, because, right, it's not there yet, the drawing's not there, but you want to do it, but oh man, but once the drawing gets there, and you can start putting that touch on it, it starts really coming to life. That's fun, man, that's fun. Especially if you're very sensitive over not over modeling it, not overworking it. That's what we want to do. You always want to be in control in your art. You never want to just be flowing with it. You want to get yourself into it, but you also need to be thinking. You need to be using your head. And that comes with experience, and that's why when we do experiments, we don't always have that knowledge to fall back on, and we kind of have to learn it the hard way. And so you can still be using your head all day long, but if you don't have the experience, it's just not going to come out. And that's why this stuff takes a while, but I wouldn't be afraid to try new things still, because if you don't try them, you're definitely not going to learn them. A lot of people don't try things because it's hard, or in art they don't try it because it's hard, or they've done stuff that works, and so they always draw to their strengths. They never draw to their weaknesses. And I think it's very important sometimes to work on your weaknesses, right? Because it's really going to push you forward a significant amount more. One of my weaknesses was like drawing cityscapes and such. I spoke about that extensively in the last couple of streams that were definitely incredibly interesting. That's my weakness, but I feel like I got a better grasp on things, at least with the second painting. I liked how I drew the house that I just did. That was not too bad. I did an okay job with that. But I mean, it could have definitely been worse, but it was in a good point. I didn't feel like I lost control over anything. Definitely it could have been better. Everything could have been better. And it's good even if you don't make it better, to understand it could be better, and then take a little bit of time to really understand how it could have been. So so you learn as much as you can with everything that you're doing. I took those cityscapes as lessons, and I try to make myself enthusiastic about it. And as an artist, you have to do that stuff. This is not easy work. Any creative work is not easy, because we can get spoiled because it's creative. It's like it feels good, and so when we get that good feeling, we do a work where everything is nice and smooth. Eat. We get spoiled, but when that smoothness doesn't come, sometimes we don't know how to deal with that. And if it's your profession, you need to be creative and come up with ways of getting around those slumps. You just have to. That's just how it works. Squint. I'm squinting. There are varying degrees of squints, right? It's not all just, people say squint. Oh, well, I did squint, but I can't see it when I squint. Well, squint lighter, or squint darker if you need to squint darker. There's varying degrees. Varying degrees of squinting. I hope Laura is doing okay. I think she's building her studio right now, isn't she? I think she is, anyway. So I'm squinting down, slowly hatching the form out of this leg. Now, I don't want to necessarily continue too much with that leg, because it's becoming pretty refined. In comparison to how everything else is. So I need to catch everything else up before I really commit. I don't want to totally commit yet to this. And looking at the stream as well, I also want to point out, and let me see, I might try to take a filter off here, because I think I have a filter on this paper, but every paper that I do is a little bit different filters. Let's go to filters. Let me see, drawing. Take the drawing filter off for a second. That didn't really do anything. Let's see what the color correction one does. It didn't really do anything either. Let me see something here. Drawing, color correction. Say charcoal. Okay, and then I want to see something here. No. Gamma. I think I'm trying to get this to look as I see it. This is a little bit closer, maybe? Oh, I can definitely take that off. I'm just going to leave it back on this one for now because I really don't care. But it looks a little bit lighter. In other words, it's not as dark or contrasty. I'm using I'm just toning some canvas. I'm using a warm ochre, like a burnt sienna with raw umber. It has that Rembrandt tone. Nice. And where are you mixing it with? All right. And I think, actually, I might need to add a little bit of flesh, maybe just a little bit of flesh onto her thigh area right down here. Just a little. I think. Maybe. Something like that. And then this part goes this way. I think. Okay. And I'm going to go down. Turpentine. Gotcha. Gotcha. Okay. I'm going to squint. Just refine this area just a little bit. There we go. All right, so I'm just slowly refining. Okay. And then let's fix the ankle, which if I squint, this should actually come out just a little bit. It should swoop up a little bit more than mine is. You good? Good. He's eating a sandwich yesterday. He had it fall. Right. Dude, I can fall asleep whenever I want right now, to be honest with you. Ooh, it's just one of those days. There we go. All right, so we're looking better. That's a little over-modeled there, but that's okay. I can deal with that later. And let's go and shape this. Let's catch this leg up with the other leg. There we go. Round that off some. Bring that down. So I'm not just blindly observing. I'm going off of my prior observations too, right? Because I've been studying this form for quite some time. I'm using B to go in to get that darker value, and then I'm going to work it in with the H charcoal. That's what we do. Let's go across with the form this time. I'm trying not to get in the way of the camera. I was watching some of my streams and noticed that sometimes my arms get in the way, so I'm trying not to block the camera view and such, but sometimes I do. And let's see, then it kind of comes this way. Okay, now I'm going to go back into it. Let's go over it with some H, and then I'm going to go into it with eraser. Actually, I'm going back in with a B really quick because I forgot something. There's this piece right here, and then this kind of comes this way. But that seems too low to me. It's coming this way. And then I think that piece must come up some. It has to come up some. You good, Dad? And then I'll bring this up just a little bit. I don't want to bring it up too much more than this drops a little, and then this comes down some. And this is going to come over just a little bit. Lightens up and it fades down. This comes out. Okay. And then let's go over it with the H. Going over this with the H, baby. Just working the charcoal in, so there we go, just working it in. I'm kind of doing almost circular motions at this point, just working this charcoal in. Work it in. There we are. It's like one of these things where at first when you're drawing you don't really see much of a change with it, but then you start seeing it as you work on it a little bit more. So you don't want to rush this. You never want to rush this type of work. All right, slow and steady. It's almost like you can't see what's happening until it kind of just automatically forms at one point, which is kind of nice. There we go. I wonder if I should make a channel where I put my streams on, you know? So I don't have it on my main channel because, you know, you don't want to clutter people's feeds up with 4-hour-long streams that they're not going to watch. I don't know. Not sure. Because I have a lot of these streams, but I don't think you can transfer them to a channel. But, well, I mean, I know of a way to, but I'd have to like download and re-upload to my thing. I don't think there's a direct transfer. But anyway, just thinking out loud here. All right, and let me think about the anatomy. This kind of comes in here, and it comes in right here. It goes down. The edge is nice and soft, and then this kind of comes up a little, in just a little bit right here. Just a little. Swoops in, something like that. All right. It's looking better. And then I'm going to bring the light of the calf up some right here. Just a little bit. Not light up. Think about the anatomy. Think about the anatomy. All right. Step back. See how it looks. Right. I'm going to squint. Maybe a slightly lighter value up in the darks here. Not as light as that calf area, so it kind of turns it going up that way. And then I'm going to go back in with that B to kind of get this darkness here, but I'm going to go slow with this and just think about what I'm doing. Everything doesn't need to be so quick. You can still work just as quickly doing this. With slower strokes, oftentimes you go quicker. I'm kind of turning and curving the stroke as I do it right here. There we go, pressing in. Let's try that. And then let's work on that heel just a little bit. The heel comes down here like this. A little bit of value going down. The back side is darker than I have it. Lost the drawing, so I'm going to, before I lose it further, I'm going to cut in, reshape that heel because I can still kind of see it. Right there. Just kind of comes in just a little. Let's clean this up some. Okay, it's coming along, it's looking good. Get the inside back. Let me give Dad a sandwich. Always juggling, always juggling. That's what we do, big guy. How you doing? Mm-hmm. Doing all right? Yeah, all right, baby. A sandwich and a half. Ooh, we got some yogurt for your ass. Want to have some yogurt? Here, let's eat this before it gets too late. You give him his liquids early. All right, baby. I'll mix this up for you. Just don't spill this, okay? Guys, it is... I love this work. I really do love this work. I have a good time with it. It is fun. I need to go up to the face, though, man. Go up, start working up there. Those arms, they're just so subtle up top. I need to work that transition. If I get that her right arm, it'll actually help the drawing a whole lot. It's actually holding the drawing back, the upper part, quite a bit. That's the other thing, is sometimes you refine. You're like, why doesn't it look good? And you're refining, like, say, the middle part, which is the main part to refine for most people, including myself. You leave, like, something on the outside. Val, what's up, buddy? Well. But you have to refine everything at once. Ooh, I lost the drawing in the ribs pretty bad, didn't I? Here, old goat. Here, come here. Here, eat that shit. You got it? Here, got it? Here, let me take that out of here. Take that. You got it? Here, come here. What's up, man? How are you doing? All right. Here, hold with this hand. Mm-hmm. Ready? Mm-hmm. Here, eat. Ready? Mm-hmm. There we go. Okay, here. Try. You got it. Mm-hmm. See if you can eat. Keep an eye on him. Sometimes he falls asleep. Just ran a bunch of BGs and met a new friend. Really? Who's the friend? No. I'm going to actually feed him, I think. I need to feed him this. Let me, let's do this. Give me a second. I'm going to tilt this down, but I'll feed him and talk at the same time. There we go. Who is your friend? What is this? You got it? Good. Eat. Can you get it? Good man, that's it. No. Not like that. Some random dude that joined up with me because he said he actually enjoyed getting healed for once. Oh, nice. Hear that. Come here, baby. It's not a straw. Come here. I got it. Come here. Watch out. Got it. That's really cool, man. That's good. I'm glad you found somebody. So you assume you got a B tag and everything, and that's good. Oh, man. There we go. Sorry, I got to do this really quick. All right, big guy, ready? Here we go. Ready? Open up, baby. That's it. Yeah, I essentially, I was running with Coquette last night. Coquette and Haps and Scruffy later on, which I told you about. That was fun. It was hard. It was like either we're killing them or we're getting killed. Didn't seem like there was much in between. Excuse me. I am seriously thinking of taking tomorrow off. I've been going strong. Even the trip, man, you know, it was just nonstop. I haven't really had a break, and I've been trying to kind of catch up with things that I didn't get to do this weekend. I don't know. We'll see. I'm not sure what I'm going to do yet. Here we go, big guy. We'll get back to that drawing in a second. I got to feed him his yogurt before it gets too late. Apples are easy. I just put them in his mouth. He's tired. Some days he's like this. It's good. It's probably good that I take a break. It's been an hour 20, and I always need. It's good to rest your eyes with this stuff. You know, I'm not setting a good example with breaks. Some of the streams are like, one of them I think this week went like 4 hours, and I didn't take a break at all, which felt great here. I love doing that, but at the same time, you need to keep a fresh eye. Keeping a fresh eye in drawing is essential, right? You can see things more clearly and such, and your eye gets tired, it gets old, you get used to seeing things, and you can't really see what you need to change. You start making these mistakes, you can't see them as easily, and there's a lot of that going on right now, but you can prevent that by taking breaks, you know, every 25 minutes or so, which I don't do. Also, you can prevent it by working on other areas of the body, which I need to go back up to the arms. That's why you want to work all around. There you go, big guy. Eat that shit. That's right. He's really tired. Some nights he sleeps better than others, so you know. Strong's gonna look good. I don't want to overdo the chalk on it, or the white chalk. I want to have some white chalk. I think I need to push it a little bit more than that, definitely. I still need to work it up. I haven't worked it up that much because I'm still solidifying parts of the drawing. And so I don't want, for example, her left arm is going to have chalk on it, but I don't want to put that on. I think it's pretty much locked in now. I wanted to rest my eye for today to see it, to see if I needed to fix anything. Here, buddy, eat this shit. Good. Good old man. Halfway. So, this is going to be a solid piece once it's done, I think. It's going to be a very solid piece. And I'm not going to make her floating. I'm going to put something under the feet, you know, some shadows or something. You never want to make just a floating drawing. But this is going to have a solid sense of atmosphere and structure to it. Those are artistic words that we're supposed to be using, apparently. It's going to look good, man. It's going to have some solid... It's going to have a solid feel to it. Yeah, it's going to be solid. Solid drawing. That's what we do, man. Come here. There you go, big guy. Eat. Good man. Whew. Mm. Yeah, in the stream, it's making it look a little bit more contrasted, like in the stream, than it actually is. It's a little bit softer of an effect in real life. It's the tricky thing is getting the cameras correct on this, right? It's not like a screen capture where it just gets the colors, you know, and then this is, you know, a little bit more of a setup, and to have some knowledge, which I feel insufficient about. I'm always trying to update my knowledge of camera work. I am trying to keep in mind stuff, learn new things. But I mean, for the most part, it's like I've found every project is a little bit different. It's kind of strange, and I don't quite understand that. Like a painting will look different with a filter on than a drawing does. I don't know if it's because it's auto-adjusting within the parameters of like what it sees or what it is. It seems like it's always a little bit different. Here we go, buddy. Eat that shit. I bet you that's what it is. There's probably some filter or autocorrect that's going on behind the scenes, which I haven't set to manual, but shoot, I don't know. You doing okay, big guy? He is tired as hell right now, man. Tired, old man. Tired? Yeah, he is. He's tired. And I have a class tonight until 8 o'clock. Ooh, it's going to be a rough day. Come here, buddy. You ready? Open that big mouth of yours. Here we go. Ready? Here. You got it. Almost done, guys. Then back to it. All right. Poor guy. Yesterday he was good, you know. give him 12 hours of sleep. I wonder if it's too much. I doubt it, though, man. He needs a lot. Old man. Hey. Hey. Come on, wake up. Wake up. I should just let him sleep. There you go. Swallow, but you can't go to sleep with this stuff on. Sorry, I know y'all aren't watching to see me feed my dad, but I got to do this really quick. I could shut the stream off, but maybe I should. There we go. I'm still talking. One more bite. One more bite, big guy. Can you do it? Here we go. One more. Got it. Nailed it. You think it's good for the channel? It's more interesting than the drawing, isn't it? I guess that's okay. It's not gonna make it. All right, here we go, baby. It's very oh, it's wholesome. Okay, good stuff. I don't want to be like weird or anything. But I got to do it. This guy, he needs his energy. All right, back at it. I'll feed you. He got his stuff all over his face. I got your apples too. You know what? I'm gonna give you. Shit. I don't know if this is smart or not. This might not be smart. Give him his protein shake right now. And we're going to keep an eye on him. There we go. All right, big guy. Chocolate. Of course, you wake up after you're done eating. After. Not during. Make it hard on me. Dude. I know. I might get on in between the class and this. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what I do. We'll see. Do it. Damn you. Here. Oh, he's asleep. Dead. Want a drink? This is stupid. I'll give this to him when he's awake. He's just going to fall asleep with it and it's going to spill everywhere. Good man. All right. Back to it. What is this? Huh. Is it another one? Find another piece of charcoal? Interesting. All right. Got it. All right, need to get more form in the forehead. That's what I need to do. More form in the forehead. There we go. And Val, I'll try to play with you in a little bit. I'll run the stream maybe for about 20 more minutes or so, and then we'll do something. Because I am freaking tired as hell right now. Yeah, this actually does come out just a little bit. Or, wait a second, or this. does. Son of a bitch. I keep on hitting this thing. This is starting to piss me off. Okay. Just down some. Shit. You demand a 24-hour stream, but hey, you want me to get off and play with you. What do you want? I can't imagine doing a 24-hour stream. I think it would literally kill me. It would be insane. Stream WoW. Oh. Do you really think people would want to watch me play WoW? I don't. So many qualified people out there. This is definitely over miles, so I'm going to bring it back up some. Okay, it's like those players that die playing a week straight. What a way to go, right? Bad life choice. I think it'd be obvious. You I would try to make it entertaining, I guess, maybe. But it would be entertaining, like, look at that dumbass. I can't believe he did that. Let's see what he does next. I wouldn't be like, hey, bro, that was a cool move. Really cool. You know, it wouldn't be like that. Squinting, make her face. This is something else, man. This stuff is a lot going on up here. What's that? Just a little bit. All right, so let's start putting some chalk. Where's my chalk? Oh, there it is. Where it should be. In the tray. Yeah, is that a good point? I could do this. Oh, man. Ooh. Oh, gosh, I can't see what I'm doing. So that looks from back here. Looks okay. Wait. I didn't do that right because I didn't really observe it. I have to take some of that off. Let's take off just a little bit here. There, around here, lighten that. Looks slightly better. I don't know. Then let's do a little refining. I keep on talking about this, but I haven't done it. Where's the H? This is it. Refine the shape. The shape of the arm. There we go. So we're just refining this, working the charcoal in. And the same thing I did down here, except a little bit further behind. Let's go across the form. This is the B, or this is the H. Very sharp, hard piece of charcoal that's pushing the softer charcoal into the paper. With science. And back over it, just taking our time. Whole wrist movement. Varying directions. Going across again. There we go. Squint. There we are. Circular rotation. Work the charcoal in. Squint. Change direction. Sharpen. What are you moaning about? Moaning. Nice and sharp. Go back in. Squint. There we go. Squint. Step back. Look. Judge. Think. Determine. Commit. Bring the light in. Just a little bit. Work into the paper. Soften. Step back. Right. So, okay, we're going to go back and forth doing the same thing. There's a little bit of light coming in this way. I'm going to squint down, work the transition at the same time as I shape the shape. Right. Is that and also comes in this way. What? Wait a second. That goes like this. Then it comes up there, and then it comes this way. There we go. And I'm going to take my hubby and ever so slightly just massage the charcoal in. Squint. Go back over. Adding charcoal. Just a little bit. There we go. Step back. Squint. Shadow shape is too thick. The great Kazone is in the... Is he playing right now? He is? It's my brother, Coquette. He should be working. He's supposed to be a doctor. Squint. That's better. So that's starting to look better. It's starting to look nice. A little bit of white chalk up top. Mighty Kazone. This comes out just a little bit. Dude, bruh, bruh, bruh. That's better. Bruh. Bruh. This is over here. Bruh. Bruh. Got it. And then I'm going to bring this part in some. Yes. Yes, far too. Ah. It actually lightens. There you go. There you go. It's better. Light. Bring the light up. Okay. Start hatching out some little pieces here and there. I'm really starting to work on the form, probably. Well, no, it's all right. At this stage, I can do it. I just feel like sometimes I feel like I go too fast, but sometimes I might instead of just be slowing myself down too much. I tend to do that. You all right, goat? Oh, he's sleeping. There we go. Bitch. Subtlety. Right. Far too. This is the part of the stream where I just get straight up weird because I've lost it. In fact, lost it before I turned the stream on. It's just I'm getting relatively good at hiding it for a time, and then I can't hide it anymore. What's that? Oh yes. Oh yes, yes, yes. That is part of the neck. Yes. Straight across. Lighten. Not up. Lighten again. Okay. And we have some chalk that we must place on the arm up here. Right around here. Start placing this bitch. All right, chalk, check. I'm about to get on because I am in fact losing it. We need to understand the form though. Understand the form. We must be one with the form. Woo! And we work on the tits. I guarantee you, when I said that, Val started watching this again. So, did somebody say tits? Working on the boobs, Val. Hot tub stream. What's up, big guy? All right. I'll see you, Coquette. I'm about to shut this thing off anyway. I'm about to lose it. Not lose it in a bad way, just I need to go easy. I went too hard yesterday on a lot of stuff. So. Starting to get, don't want to overmodel that, but that's looking pretty decent. Go in and get a little bit of form back in the arm right here. You got to look at the large shape and get the precise shapes at the same time. It kind of comes out just a little bit. Not that sharp. You soften that edge just a little bit. Soften, soften, soften. Messed it up. It's okay. Fix it. There we go. That's it. It's better. There we go, and push the values just a little bit before I turn this off. Time to go easy and play some WoW. Take a break from drawing giant tits and come play some video games. Ah, yes. Dude, I'm about to, actually. I'm about to. Just get a couple things down first. I'm trying to get the whole sense of everything. The sense of everything. This thing, man. See, I can always lighten them. On the stream, it looks a little bit more contrasted than it is in reality. So this is actually, these moves are pretty accurate. It just looks, I think, a little bit different on stream. I'll post on Instagram once this thing is done, but it's not going to be today. Stuff does take a little bit of time to do. Shit, that's too hard. Yeah, whatever. Soften that up later. The feet, let me put a little bit under the feet as well, just to balance this off. You want to see a whole, to be very holistic, right? You want the whole thing to be working all at once, not just one part of it, not just one part. Squint. This part too. Squint. Probably darkens a little bit there. Drawing in here is questionable. Go over this part just a little bit, just unify. Actually made it a little bit too dark. Lost the drawing here, this part, lost the drawing there. Right there. It's more of a diamond shape, isn't it? Yeah. How's that go? Modeled. All right, Val, I'm going to play with you a little bit, buddy. Let me go ahead. I'm going to help my dad out just for a second. I'm going to be on probably within about 10, 15 minutes. I'll be able to play for probably about 30, 40 minutes. All right, guys, thank you so much for Val and whoever else is on right now. I really appreciate it. And I will be streaming again very soon.